Chapter 18. Everybody loves a hero, except Becky. That was Tom's great secret, the plan to return home with his brother pirates and attend their own funerals. They had paddled over to the shore on the log the night before and slept in the woods on the edge of town till nearly daylight, and then they crept through the back alleys to the church to finish their sleep in the gallery. At breakfast on Monday morning, Aunt Polly, Mary, and were very loving to Tom. There was a much talk in the course of Aunt Polly said, "Well, I don't say it wasn't a fine joke, Tom, but it is a pity you could be so hard-hearted to me and let me suffer so. If you could have come over on a log to go to your own funeral, you could have come over and given me a hint in some way that you weren't dead, but you had only run off." "Yes, I guess I could have done that," said Tom. "I believe he would have, if you thought of it," said Mary. I don't know. It would have spoiled everything," said Tom. "More's the pity," said Aunt Polly. "Sid would have thought of it, and Sid would have come and done it, too. Tom, you'll look back some day, and when it's too late, and you wish you cared a little more for me, when it would have been cost you so little." "Now, Auntie, you know I do care for you," declared Tom. "I wish I knew it better if you acted like it." "I wish now I thought of it," said Tom. "But I dreamed of you anyway. That's something, isn't it?" Top of page 98. "It isn't much. A cat dreams that much, but it's better than nothing. What did you dream?" "Why, Wednesday night I dreamed that you were sitting on the couch, and Sid was sitting here, and Mary next to him." "Well, yeah, so we did, just like we do always. I'm getting your dreams could take even a little much trouble as that. And I dreamed that Joe Harper's mother was here." "Why, she was here. Did you dream any more, Tom?" "Oh, lots. But it's so dim now. Somehow it seems to me that the wind blew the candle out." "Mercy on us! Go on, Tom, go on." "And it seems to me you said, 'Why, I believe the door is open.' As I sit here, I did, didn't I, Mary? Go on." "And then it seems like you made Sid go and shut the door." "Well, for the land's sake, don't tell me there isn't anything in dreams anymore. Serenity Harper shall know of this before an hour is older. Go on now, Tom." "Oh, it's all getting just a little bright as day now. Next you said I wasn't bad, only full of life, like a colt or something. And then you began to cry." "Oh, so I did, so I did. Not the first time, neither. And then Mrs. Harper began to cry and said she wished she hadn't whipped Joe for taking the cream when she threw it out herself." "Tom, the spirit is upon you. Land alive, go on, Tom." "Then Sid said—" "I don't think I said anything," said Sid. "Yes, you did, Sid," said Mary. "Shut up, both of you, and let Tom go on. What did you say, Tom? Or what did he say, Tom?" "He said, I think he said that I hoped I was better off where I had gone, but if I'd been betterer sometimes." "There, you do hear that? His very words? And you shut him up sharp, Aunt Polly." "I'll say I did, Tom." "And Mrs. Harper told about Joe scaring her with a firecracker, and you told about Peter and the painkiller." "Just as I live," said Aunt Polly. "And then there was the whole thing about dragging the river for us and about a funeral on Sunday, and then you and Mrs. Harper hugged and cried and went on." "It happened just so, Tom. Tom, you couldn't have told it better if you had seen it. And then what, Tom?" "Then I thought you prayed for me. And I could see you and hear every word you said. And you went to bed, and I was so sorry. I took and wrote a note on a piece of bark. 'We aren't dead. We're only pirates,' and put it on your side table. And you looked so good there asleep, and I went and I leaned over and kissed you. Did you, Tom? Did you? I'll forgive you everything." And she seized Tom and hugged him as hard as she could, nearly crushing him. "Here's a big apple I've been saving for you, Tom, if you were ever found again. I'm thankful to God and the Father for all of us that I've got you back. Go along now and go to school, all of you." The children left for school, and the old lady went to call Mrs. Harper to tell her all that Tom's marvelous dream. Sid said nothing, but he thought such a long dream, and without any mistakes. What a hero Tom was now. The smaller boys followed at his heels, proud to be seen with him. The older boys pretended not to know he had been away at all, but they would have given anything to have had that sun-tanned skin or to have been with him. At school, the children made so much of him and Joe that the two heroes were not long for becoming stuck up. Their stories got bigger and longer, and finally, when the two got out their pipes and took a puff, the top their glory was reached. Tom decided that he could get along without Becky Thatcher now. He would have live in this glory. Now that he was important, maybe she would want to make up. Well, let her. She'll see that he could act as if he didn't care like other people. Presently, Becky arrived at the schoolhouse. Tom pretended not to see her and moved away to talk to some other boys and girls. He noticed, though, that as she was playing, that she was moving closer to him at all times, and at last she stopped her playing and looked at Tom, but he managed to be talking more to Amy Lawrence than to anybody else. Becky felt a sharp pain, and she tried to go away, but her feet carried her right to him. She said to a girl almost at Tom's elbow, "Why, Mary Austin, you bad girl, why didn't I see you at Sunday school?" "I did come. Didn't you see me?" "Why, no, did you? Where did you sit?" "I was in Miss Peters' class, where I always go. I saw you." "Did you? Why, it's so funny I didn't see you. I wanted to tell you about my picnic." "Oh, that's nice. Who's going to give it?" "My mother's going to. Let me have one." "Oh, goody. I hope she'll let me come." "Well, she will. The picnic is for me. She'll let anybody come that I want, and I want you," said Becky. "There, that's ever so nice. When will it be?" "Oh, by and by, maybe about vacation." "Oh, won't that be fun? Are you going to have all the boys and girls?" "Yes, everyone that's friends with me or wants to be," said Becky. She glanced at Tom, but he kept right on talking to Amy Lawrence about the terrible storm on the island and how lightning tore the trees and all to flinders, while he was 3 feet away from it. All the group begged to come to the picnic but Tom and Amy. Tom turned coolly away, still talking, and took Amy with him. Becky's lips trembled and tears came to her eyes, but she hid away what she felt and kept on talking. She didn't care about the picnic now. She got away as soon as she could and hid herself and had a good cry. Then she gave her head a shake and said she knew what she'd do. At recess, Tom went around with Amy again, and he kept drifting about to find Becky so that she could see. And at last he found her. But when he saw, he didn't like. For Becky was sitting on the little bench behind the schoolhouse looking at a comic book with another boy, Alfred Temple, and their heads were close together. Tom began to hate himself for not making up with Becky. He walked around the back of the schoolhouse again and again with Amy, but Becky looked as if she didn't know Tom was even alive. But she did see him. Tom was at last, couldn't stand Amy's empty talk anymore. He got away from her by telling her he had another thing to do. She said she would be around when school let out, but he hurried away, hating her for it. Alone, Tom made believe he was fighting with another boy, even going through the motions until the fight was finished to his satisfaction. Tom fled home that afternoon. He couldn't stand any more of Amy or Becky's new boyfriend. Becky went looking at the picture book with Alfred, but when she didn't see Tom, she lost interest. At last, she didn't care about the book at all. And when Alfred said, "Oh, here's a good picture. Look at this one," she told him, "Oh, don't bother me. I don't care for them." And she burst into tears and walked away. Alfred got uncomfortable, but she said, "Go away. Leave me alone, can't you? I hate you." Alfred stopped wondering what he could do or what he could have done. He easily guessed the truth that Becky had been with him or using him because she was angry with Tom Sawyer. Alfred vanished. There was some way. Alfred wished there was some way he could get back at Tom. He saw Tom's spelling book, took it, opened it, to the lesson for the afternoon and poured ink upon the page. Becky, looking in the window behind Alfred at the same time, saw the act. She started homeward now with plans to find Tom and tell him before she was halfway home. However, she changed her mind when she thought of the way Tom had treated her when she was talking about her picnic. She decided to let him get whipped for the spelling book and to hate him forever, too. Man, we got like this weird love triangle square thing with Tom and Becky and Tom and Amy and Alfred and, oh goodness, I don't know. Love triangles.